As you're aware, we've been undergoing executing an evacuation plan from the community of Warrawee. What I can say is currently we have managed to remove 432 people from the community. We have registered 353 at the airport, so we have still a number of people are in the air currently travelling to Darwin. We have 11 people left on the ground at Warrawee. Of those, 2 are police officers and 1 is a Northern Territory Emergency Service volunteer. They will be the last people to leave Warrawee via our police air wing.
Earlier today there were reports that 5 or 6 locals wanted to stay and look after pets and properties. Is it your understanding that all residents have now been cleared out?
My understanding is that no one is left behind in the community, but I would have to wait for the police sergeant to come back himself to be able to clarify that. Under the Act, obviously we encourage people and have the power to force them to be evacuated, but we have not exercised that, and we've strongly encouraged people to take our advice.
So it hasn't been a forced evacuation because everybody has elected to leave?
That's right, and we've encouraged through the local controller on the ground there and the team there that people need to be able to keep safe. We encourage them strongly to come back to Darwin, which they've done.
And have all of the evacuees now landed in Darwin, or are there still people on the way?
There's still people on the way. We have 353 registered at the airport, which means there's some 90 almost are in the air as I speak now.
Are there plans to evacuate any other centres?
Not at this stage. We're making an assessment based on a number of factors, and that is the facilities that are available to be able to take shelter, and we base that information on risk factors and also what the local controller and the regional controller are briefing to the Territory Emergency Management Council.
This despite the fact that Warrawee simply wouldn't occur around the weight on some of the other centres.
The issue we have with Warrawee is that it's the window of opportunity to actually be able to undertake an evacuation, given the fact that it's an island and we have to use the airstrip. There's no other means, and for us it meant that the modelling of the cyclone at the time, there was a risk that would lead to the fact that we weren't able to actually evacuate that community in time if the cyclone was to track further west.
And is that the case with Millingimby, Kapuliak and Gallawinku, that there's just no way to get in there to evacuate even if you wanted to?
Look, again, what I'd say is there is built to code premises and shelters that are in those communities. They are able to sustain and also be able to shelter people from a Category 3, which is as per the code, and at the moment, as you're aware, it's rated as a Category 3 cyclone.
How confident are you that Gallawinku, there's 3,000 people there, that there are enough shelters to code for all of those people?
Look, we base that on the information from the local controller and the local committee there. And they have been briefing the regional controller, indicating there is enough accommodation plus shelters to be able to accommodate everyone in that community and from the outstations and homelands. What I can say about Gallawinku right now is that it's experiencing winds of up to 140 kilometres an hour, so we'll have some sort of assessment in the next 2 to 3 hours or longer as to any damage, and then as you'll probably be aware, there's probably going to be a second lot of gale force or cyclone winds to go through that community.
Have the shelters in Gallawinku now been shut because of the wind?
What's happened is that the regional controller through the territory controller has ordered that everyone take shelter in those communities, including Ramingining, Gapawea, Gallawinku and Millingimby.
Given the increase in the number of evacuees to Darwin, do we have the supplies and everything ready to go for that larger amount of people?
Yes, we were lucky enough in some of those communities, the coastal communities, the barges had recently resupplied those communities, and without going into exact details, our information is that we have enough water and supplies in some of those communities for 1 to 2 weeks.
And what about here in Darwin? With the excess numbers that have arrived here in Darwin?
Here in Darwin, we have enough to be able to cope with the numbers here at the showgrounds at the Foskey Pavilion.
Describe the situation in Elcho Island. What's the latest from Millingimby, which is obviously a chance to...
Millingimby, we have one of our police officers on the ground, so we'll be in constant contact. Obviously, as you'd be aware, during this time period sometimes communications can be quite challenging. I'll be waiting for a briefing soon from the Region 2 Controller in relation to what's happening in that community.
The storm is expected to
well, if you took into account Galawinka, you're looking at 2,500 roughly, or to 3,000. And then you have the rest of the communities. Ramingining is around 800 to 1,000, and then you've moved further down. So it's an estimate. You could probably estimate between 4,000 to 5,000 people could be affected. However, I'm happy to go back and have another look and try and get a more accurate figure for you, but I would say around that would be an estimate.
What storm is expected to cross the coast and coincide with a very high tide? What is your concern for flooding for those two communities?
My information from the BOM is that it's actually at a low tide, but again, what I'd say is that, as you're aware, things do change. We're doing some storm surge modelling around if the cyclone crosses at the high tide and what that is likely to look like, and what other preparations or actions we need to take in relation to that or be prepared for.
What sort of preparations are you making for the aftermath in terms of disaster relief, particularly for Elcho Island?
We're already going into what we call our survey and rescue mode, and also a rapid damage assessment mode. We have a number of teams ready who will be in the planning phase and will be ready to deploy at short notice. And obviously we have resources on the ground in those communities as well to be able to assist us with identifying what the damage is and what we need to actually fix, and if there's any other issues we need to look at.
What sort of damage are you expecting somewhere like Galawinka, where there are houses that aren't built to code?
Look, I think we'll be in a better position in the next 3 to 4 hours as to what's occurring there, given the fact that right now my information from the BOM is that they're experiencing 140 km/h winds, so there's likely to be some damage.
What's the situation potentially in Ramingining?
In Ramingining, again, we've ordered people to take shelter. We have enough coverage in relation to the shelters and the residences there to be able to accommodate the community.
No suggestion from people there that they want to be evacuated?
I've not been briefed on that at all, and I'm not aware of that request.